A saying that I hear a lot is the things that are guaranteed in life are death and taxes, which is very true. But I would add one more thing to that, and that would be things that don't always go your way. So I think another thing you could guarantee in life is that you'll have something that you can't have that you want or need, or there's something that you want to happen and it doesn't. So desiring something, not getting what you desired, I think is also probably a guarantee in life. And for myself, I've lived long enough for that to be true. So many little or big things that have happened in my life haven't always gone my way. And I would look at those as setbacks or just a series of unfortunate events. And when that does happen, I think the important follow up question is how you deal with it, right? How do you deal with setbacks? How do you deal with like these detours in life or when things don't really go your way? And it has been quite a learning experience for me because I feel like that is an area in my life where I've been better at over time. Just learning how to deal with setbacks, learning how to deal with like disappointment or, things that may not always go in your favor. And in the past, with some of the content that I released, I've talked about like dealing with disappointment and failure. So it is in that realm of discussion, but I wanted to go a little bit more deeper into that and how I personally processed it, um, and what has worked for me, and maybe what I share might be useful for you. And so I always feel like there's a couple ways you could respond to it. I feel like one way when things don't go your way is you could just you know, have negative emotions. You could get really upset, be very angry or very sad, disappointed, get really down on yourself, and just let the negative emotions just consume you. Another thing too is maybe you could get over it really quickly, but maybe you don't give yourself time to really process it. So maybe such a significant turn of events that don't really go in your favor, like you may move on from it in one sense, but you haven't really learned from the experience or allow yourself to process it for you to possibly gain wisdom from that event that has happened. And maybe the most beneficial way is giving yourself a certain amount of time to just process what just happened. Maybe break it down why it happened the way it did, and give it time to just kind of let it develop, and slowly, you gotta be able to move on from that little setback that you experienced. So, and I think over time, when you do reflect on that experience or that setback, whatever it may be, when you give it some time and you reflect on it, maybe you could understand possibly the reason why it happened. And when you kind of connect the dots and look back on what it is that has happened since then, maybe you're able to understand why that event was so important, or why it happened, why it needed to happen, right? And so, um, I I feel like in all those stages, in all those scenarios, I feel like I experienced all of them. There have been times where when something didn't go my way or I didn't get what I wanted, I didn't achieve a goal, I would just get really upset, and sometimes I act out. People would know, or I get really depressed about it, and I'd have these like negative outlets that I'll have, which wouldn't be good for me in any way, shape, or form. And that would be a way to just deal with like just the depressed emotions or the negative feelings. And like what would set in is just like this victim mentality, like why is this happening to me, like why is this bad thing happening to me, what did I do, what was it, my fault, was it someone else's fault, everybody's at fault, things aren't going my way. And you just feel like, man, this sucks, and I just don't really know how to deal with it. So I'll just do these things that will temporarily make me feel better, but in the long run isn't really that good. So there's that, and then there's times where like like something happened, and I would just not give myself time to process it, but I'll just keep working and keep doing the daily things that I always do, and put that emotion or event to the side. And then maybe later on, it'll come a point where it does hit me, that setback or that feeling of loss or whatever. And then I would get overly emotional about it. But yeah, you could definitely just move on from it and not allow yourself to process it, which I've also done in the past. And I think as I gotten older, I've gotten better at giving myself enough time to just kind of reflect on what happened, and being able to verbalize it, whether that's maybe talking out loud, maybe even like talking to like a professional, like a therapist, or talking to myself, or praying about it. I think, or writing it down on a journal, just putting it out there where I feel like is much more healthier for a person to provide some sort of outlet to express themselves and not keep it all bottled in, um, where you know you're not really expressing what it is you're feeling. And I think it's okay to express emotion during these times, because I mean we're all human beings. We all have emotions, and we all gotta display the appropriate emotion for certain things that happen, whether it's good or bad. Um, because if we do keep it bottled in, then it's not really good for your health. You're just adding more stress to it. But if you express it out, you're kind of relieving the stress and all, everything that's pent up in you. You're letting it out, and I think that's the way it's supposed to be. Um, and so, yeah, I think over time I just gotten better at just writing things down, verbalizing it, talking it with people of what I feel. And even when I talk about it or write it down, as I reflect on it, it kind of brings me in a better mood. Like I feel better, I feel less stress. Like there is a relief of stress. And also when you share it with someone, you also develop like a clarity within the discussion that you have, and they're able to provide like some feedback where if you have close friends that really care about you and really know you, or if you're talking to a professional like a therapist, they'll give you some good perspective, and give you good feedback, and then you'll get a different point of view or different perspective about the experience. And hopefully you even receive like encouragement, people who will just uplift you and encourage you and support you all the way through. And that also has been extremely helpful, and that has been more on the positive outlet on how to deal with these setbacks or these feelings of disappointment of things not going your way. And so I think it's so important to be able to process it. Of course, it's good to process it on your own. Kind of break it down for yourself and understand what has happened. And another thing too would be just to talk about it, to verbalize it, especially to people that to your close friends and families, and let them know where you're at, and getting that feedback, some words of wisdom back to you, giving you like some sound perspective on your situation. And I also think you can't let yourself just be stuck in that place and just be like frozen in time, because the reality is life will continue to go on. The world, time doesn't stop for you just because that one little thing didn't go your way. Like, you still gotta work, you still gotta eat, you gotta sleep, and you gotta move on to the next day, right? You gotta live your day out and know that another day's coming. So you can't just do nothing, and just hope that things will get better just by doing nothing, right? You still gotta be proactive to a certain extent. And it's okay. I think it's okay to, you know, take time off of like your hobbies, or, give yourself time to just rest and reflect, and do the basic responsibilities that you need to do on a day-to-day basis for you to survive. You still got to take care of your basic needs, but maybe you could, during these stretches, you could cut some things out momentarily to allow yourself to recuperate, to recover and rest, and then slowly but surely you could pick up on those things right back up, once you're feeling better. And so, but the thing is, you can't just stop and just do nothing in life and think that um, you can still survive, or you could just get by in life. You still got to be productive, and you still probably have responsibilities that you got to do, um, as you trying to process through these setbacks or these turn of events. And so, that's just my perspective. I think that is something that I've, like, tools and techniques that has helped me process things when things don't go my way. Obviously, I feel emotion, and but I don't let the emotion and the disappointment consume me. I don't dwell on it too much. I know I feel that way, but I don't need to like dwell on that all the time, because I know there's still things that I need to do, and when those things need to be done, like, I need to be present on that task at hand. And then there'll be times where I'll have some downtime and I'll have time to think about it and process it, or I could, use that time to share what I'm going through with other people, or even writing it down on a journal. And that's also something that I started doing about 10 years ago, right after I graduated college, is just writing. I think when there are significant moments in my life, like transition going on, I always write what has been going through at that time, and also like how I'm feeling, what has happened, like reflect on maybe the past couple years and what to look forward to next. And whenever I do write up a new one, sometimes I'll go back and I read it, and I'd see like, oh, this is where I was and this is how I process it. And I learn from that. I learn from my experiences, and I also see like, oh man, like, this is how I dealt with this situation, but I've grown so much since then, and I gained a lot of wisdom from those experiences. Those experiences that were the setbacks, or those experiences that didn't go my way, or disappointment, whatever the case may be. And so I think because I've been able to process things well, especially things, negative things or occurrences that don't go my way, because I've been able to process it better. I think I'm just at a better place as a person. It's like you get better at dealing with setbacks, once you dealt with it properly. And so, and usually with those experiences and what you got out of it, that can be an opportunity for you to share that with other people that go through similar situations. And so, I'm hoping that me sharing this can be just that, that it could be something to encourage you that there is like a more positive way that you could deal with setbacks. You could deal with all obstacles and challenges in your life that don't go your way, and you could process it, you could learn from it, gain wisdom from it, and that could turn you into just a better person, a better human being, a human being with more wisdom, more growth. And when you have that, man, you could be such an asset to people around you, and you come to realize, oh man, like there's other people that go through similar things, and what you have gone through can help someone else go through their situation, you know. And so I just want to be an encouragement and share that, and know that you're not alone in whatever you're going through. And I don't know specifically what people go through on a day-to-day basis, and those setbacks could be very mild and very small, or they can be very huge and big decisions and very extreme. And I'm not one to say that I've gone through every single thing, every single scenario, to know that I know how to deal with every specific thing the right way. But that may be just a challenge specifically for you that you need to deal with, and you need to be able to process and overcome. And maybe you're the only one that could possibly do it. So, but maybe these simple, suggestions, or my own personal, how you would say, recommendations might be a help to you. These techniques, or things that have helped me, could possibly help you in dealing with setbacks. But I wanted to share that because for one, it's good to share the things that and get it off your chest, and know that there's always something like that's not gonna go your way, and you're gonna feel some disappointment along the way. But it really comes down to how your character and how you deal with it, and how you're gonna overcome it. And over time, when you give yourself time to process it and let it develop, maybe you'll come to realize like why it was meant to happen. You might not know it in the midst of it as you're going through it, but once you give it time, you realize how that event has shaped you to who you are now, and how that has made an impact uh, at this very moment in life. So that is my encouragement to you. I hope that when you do deal with setbacks, that you could get to a point where you could be able to process it a lot better. Uh, Again, to help you grow, gain some wisdom, and just help you become a better person.